Welcome to Design Domination, where you'll learn to become a better, more business-savvy designer so you can dominate your competition. Hi, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Colleen Grotzer, and in this episode of Design Domination, I'm talking about having empathy, not enmity, when dealing with clients. The client is not your enemy. Stick around to find out how to deal more effectively with situations that might come up when working with a client that make you feel like you're on two different sides. One situation that may arise is getting negative feedback on your design work. Now, understandably, a lot of designers get upset when a client doesn't like the designs you've just presented. Hey, I get it. I've been there. It is super frustrating. And sometimes we take it personally. When I see designers talking about this online, a lot of times other designers are quick to defend the designer. But they don't even have all the details of the situation, first off. And second, the client may have a legitimate point. Maybe you as the designer could have done better. Maybe this wasn't your best work and you knew it. Maybe you didn't follow a creative brief or have a good understanding of the client's goals. Maybe you need to sharpen your skills. The client is not your enemy. It's not you versus them. It's you with them. So take a moment to consider their side and where they're coming from. Take the emotion out of it and try to look at their concerns objectively. There's a saying I like from Paul Arden, who was creative director of Saatchi & Saatchi and also an author. Do not seek praise, seek criticism. This is especially important to keep in mind when it comes to our work and our interaction with clients. Praise isn't necessarily all good and criticism all bad. We can learn from both. If you're always seeking praise, why is that? Do you need affirmation from the client to give you confidence? Do you need it because you're not comfortable with criticism? Do you take it personally? Do you want to make yourself happy? Do you need to be seen as right or perfect in the client's eyes? When you don't seek criticism, you might be saying, I don't want to be challenged by anyone. I don't want to challenge myself. I don't want to be better. I don't want to see a different side to things. I don't want anything to change, and I don't want to change. Now, obviously, sometimes it's not the designer, and you get stuck with a client who is controlling or needs to put their own stamp on things. And that's why screening clients is important. And if you missed that episode, check out episode 46 for how to screen clients. A client might ask you for something that's out of scope. They may or may not know that what they're asking for is out of scope. You might take it as, oh, they must be trying to get some work for free, when that's really not at all what they're expecting. Saying that something was out of scope used to make me so nervous because I hated being put in this position and asserting myself with clients. I mean, what if they got upset and didn't want to pay more? What if they balked when I told them how much it was going to cost? I've had that happen. But you have to relax and take the emotion out of it. After all, the contracts should spell this out, and I hope you at least have a contract and that it does indeed spell out these things. But it's up to you to enforce the terms of your contract. Let the contract be the bad guy. You don't have to be. As long as the terms are addressed in there, it's not like you're springing something new on the client. You're just enforcing your contract. It's subjective, too. And it was agreed upon by both you and them. You know, it's not for you to suck up extra work because you're afraid to assert yourself simply because they asked you to do more than you originally agreed to. I mean, you just can't do that unless there's a good reason why, like, they've been a good client. And maybe they never make a lot of changes or something. They have minimal requests. Maybe you've worked with them quite a bit and, maybe you didn't do your best work on this project and you need to put a little more effort into it. Keeping them happy is good within reason, but don't succumb to being a people pleaser to your own detriment. So speak up. If you're not going to be profitable on the work, then what is the point of doing it? So how do you respond if they ask for something out of scope? Well, you just say, that wasn't included in our initial agreement. let me get you an estimate for that. If it's going to cost additional time, just let them know that too. But it's important to acknowledge the request and tell them how you can accommodate it, if you can. Come across as, yes, I can help you. I'm happy to, and here's how much it will be to do that and how long it will take. Now, a client will often request something that we see as silly, and it just might be. But you have to remember that they don't have our expertise. After all, that's why they've hired us in the first place. So while we can laugh at some of these requests, the best way to handle those requests is to be objective and explain why they wouldn't work for the project. And, ask why they're requesting what they are. Sometimes your main contact thinks it's a ridiculous request too, but a higher-up has decided to pursue it anyway. Your contact might be hoping that you'll exert your expertise and shoot down the request with a good reason. You just never know the situation. Another situation that comes up is getting requests from clients outside of business hours. I used to get really lathered up by this. I would get so irritated when clients would call or email after hours. Of course they can call and leave a message or send an email at any time, though. They have a right to do that. But you don't have to be at their beck and call and waiting for their calls and messages at these hours, unless you've agreed to do that beforehand, like for an urgent deadline or something. You're not a heart surgeon, for crying out loud. So if you're irritated by client requests after hours, just stop checking your messages. The client is not the enemy because they send requests outside of business hours. If they've come to expect you to respond outside of business hours, that's on you. And this was a hard lesson I learned a long time ago. Once you've set that expectation with your behavior by responding outside of business hours, you have to untrain them. You need to reset expectations and let them know when they can expect to hear from you. Another situation that might come up is endless emails. I can't tell you how many times in my earlier years in business that I was afraid to or just didn't want to pick up the phone and just talk to a client. And hey, back then people talked more on the phone than they do now. I used to go back and forth with so many emails, and some clients would be like, "Can we just talk?" Yeah, that's how it should be. Just get it done and resolved. I would feel so stupid for putting up a wall in the first place. So stop wasting your time and theirs going back and forth via email and just get on the daggone phone. Again, they're not the enemy. A call can resolve so many things so much faster and amicably because you can speak words faster than you can write them, and you can assess each other's tone. I mean, I can remember so many times in the past when I thought the client meant one thing from their email, or I assumed their tone was a certain way, only to later talk to them and find out I was completely wrong. Also, though, there's a saying that if you have bad news to deliver, always do it by phone, not an email and not a text. Remember, business is about building relationships, and relationships are much more than emails and transactions. Now, I'm not saying things don't come up that warrant a heck no or are you crazy? But most of the time, trying to be understanding, more empathetic, can go a long way to staying professional in your replies and in keeping your sanity. It can also keep you from making assumptions that someone might just be a jerk. I mean, they might in fact be a jerk, or they might just be having a horrible day. And having empathy doesn't mean rolling over and getting taken advantage of either. You can be empathetic and professional while still enforcing your terms and boundaries and charging more for work that goes out of scope. Are you looking to gain confidence, clarity, and a competitive edge in a crowded marketplace? I offer mentoring, resources, digital products, and courses, including accessibility for designers and web developers that will empower you to be the design hero, not another order taker. Find them at creative-boost.com and come and connect with me and other design dominators in the Design Domination Facebook group.